moving right along into our next elevation, which I believe is called, let's see, elevation A. Okay. So elevation A is a little bit of an extension of what we had in elevation C. We've got, let's take a look at the photos. We've got some more of this, these big travertine-looking tiles coming across. We've got a recess here where the entry door is. We've got a little bit of a recess here for the restroom door. And let's keep moving along. Okay, then we've got a big expanse of some tile, followed by a recess for this glass, more of this travertine, more glass, frosted this time up above, and then more tile. So this is a pretty straightforward elevation. Let's take a look at our dimensions here. Looks like we've got some repeat dimensions as well. We've got 8 feet for the line at this point where the glass and the restroom cutouts are. We've got 16'8" for the top of that travertine, and then we've got 22 feet for the top of that second piece of glass. So because we already have those dimensions locked in on this other wall, it's going to be nice and easy to take our tape and drag dimensions, or I'm sorry, drag guides and snap to those points straight up along that wall. Now what we need is we need the plan information. So let's select this wall and hide it for a moment. So it's H for hide, and I'm going to drag some guides along the floor. First place that I've got to break here is for our entry door right here that leads out into this hall. So I'll start by referencing the bottom of this wall, and I'm just going to drag straight across until I get to the edge of this wall. And it looks like it's telling me 6'6". Let's get nice and close here. About 6'6", so I'll just type in 6'6". So it's a nice and clean dimension. Okay, and then as I click and drag across this point, again, I've got another little point here to reference. So it looks like it's about 3 feet. 3 feet works for me. Now, continuing that same process, we drag across for the bathroom. I would say that's about 6 feet again. I'm just, for the sake of our model, making nice clean dimensions when I can. It's not essential. Again, we're not making working drawings off of this file, and we're not designing from scratch. We're just trying to recreate a building that already exists. So let me go ahead and drag across this point again. 18 feet 9 inches. And I'll do the same. Here we go. Here we've got an actual hard dimension that we can use as a reference. So here it tells me that this is from this point to this point is 35 feet. Let's test that. 35 feet. Close, but not exactly. What this tells me, or my guess is that this probably didn't make it to 35 feet when they built it. Let's test another dimension just to be sure. I'm going to start from here, and I'm going to check over here and see if this is 16 feet. That's pretty close to 16 feet. So my guess is that this additional 6 or so inches probably got added in the process. And any architects out there who are listening are probably furious at hearing that. But for the sake of just learning SketchUp, we're going to go ahead and round this up to 35 foot 6 inches. Okay. And that's pretty clean there. So that's going to be our opening for that glass. And I think that is our final dimension that we need to worry about going across this. Yeah, that's our last line there. We're not worried about getting to this glass yet because the wall extends beyond that. So let's go ahead and unhide that wall and now drag some guides from the side, snapping to each of those guides that we've already put down. So if you start to just pull along the red and move your cursor down as you're dragging guides from one to the next, this is like taking us way back to the kind of early assignments we did in the first SketchUp class, where we just kind of punched some basic windows into that really, really easy little model. Okay, there we go. Let's take a look at what we need to punch out. We got to get rid of this little space here first and foremost for that entry door. So go ahead and open this up, get my rectangle tool active, and click from one point, from the one corner to the next. I'm going to do the same here just to save some time. Click, and then I'm going to go rectangle, rectangle, rectangle. Let's see what else we got. We've also got this patch right here that lines up with this, so we can start from here to there so that we can replicate. Let's go over so that we can replicate this tile there. Okay. Now we can push-pull away what we know we don't need. So I'll go ahead and activate my push-pull tool using P and click once on this face, click it away. Now, here's a little trick that we haven't really dealt with. You can use what let me undo this. So I'm clicking once and I'm clicking in again, and that's taking it in 1 foot. Click. If I've got multiple different faces to push-pull, and I know that I'm going to be using the same dimension each time. Once I've done one, so I've just told the push-pull tool basically that I want to push-pull something in 12 inches. I now can double-click on this, and it's going to repeat the last distance I did. So I can do the same thing up here again. Double-click. Let me go ahead and demonstrate that really fast off to the side. Make a little rectangle, select it, group it, open it up, and then push-pull up. This time I'm going to say 6 inches. So if I double-click again, away, it's going to push-pull that 6 inches down, which will make it disappear. I don't want to do that. I want to actually bring something up. So let me go ahead and make a line here. This is taking us back all the way to like homework 1 from the first class. So let me go ahead and push-pull this up 7 feet. And then if I double click again, that's going to take me up another 7 feet. Double click again, another 7 feet. Double click again, another 7 feet. Double click on this, it's going to take me out 7 feet. So you can keep going in the same distance by double clicking over and over again. So that's kind of helpful if you have a lot of holes or a lot of openings on one space. You don't have to go through the trouble. Let me go ahead and delete that. You don't have to go through the trouble of push-pulling in and making sure that you select it each time. Okay, let's go ahead and put that glass in place. We're going to worry about by the way, obviously I haven't gotten to the doors yet, and I haven't gotten to what's happening back here, and I certainly haven't gotten to this extruded little office area yet. We're just kind of worried about the big planes first. So let me go ahead and look and see what we got here as we look at the glass. Okay. It's kind of hard to tell, but it looks like I've got 1, 2, 3, 4. It looks like that this is divided up into 4 planes. And I'm not going to worry about the wall line up there. Just for the sake of making this nice and clean, let's just divide this up into 4 equal planes. So start by using the rectangle tool. Start from this point and move to this point to make that first plane. Go ahead and double click it to select the entire thing and make that into a group. Again, notice we always make everything into its own group as we start. I'm going to open this up, and the first thing I'm going to do, just as it kind of organically arises, I don't like that it's showing me the back face first. I always like to see the creamy outer face so that it all looks nice and clean. So I'm going to right click on this face and I'm going to do reverse faces. If you ever make a shape and you get the underside exposed to the inside of the model and you want to change it, all you have to do is right click and reverse. So I'm just reversing that so I see the other side. Now the purple's on the back. Okay. Now what I want to do is I want to select one line at the bottom or the top. It's easier to see the bottom line for this demonstration. So I'm going to select the bottom line. I'm going to right click. Whoops. I'm going to close that. I'm going to right click and I'm going to divide. So as I hit divide, notice that automatically I get these little red dots. Without clicking, as I scroll my mouse from left to right, it's increasing the amount of segments I have. And it's telling me if I stop long enough to pause, it's telling me how many segments I have and exactly how long they are. I want it to be 4 segments. So I'm going to scroll until it says 4, or I can just manually type in 4, enter. And what it's done now is it's divided this line up into separate lines, which might be a little easier to see if I hide this. So I'm going to hide that and select. Notice now that there's all these different lines that 4 different lines at the bottom I'm able to select independently. It's broken them up. I can now use my tape measure tool to drag a guide to pop to each of those endpoints. And it will automatically, as I'm kind of moving down towards the bottom, it'll automatically pop to that point with a little green node. And I can see that it's the accurate place if I just select the two different lines. So go ahead and unhide the group below. And let's just copy this thing down by hitting our copy button. So remove copying this down. It's Control, I think, if you're on a PC, and it's Alt Option if you're on a Mac. And I'm going to open this up, select just this one line, and move that straight up like that. Now I'm going to draw my lines. I probably could have drawn those lines before I copied it, but it doesn't take long to open this up and do that. So I'm just drawing lines right along the guides that are already in place, just indicating the seams in the glass. Now I'll select both of those pieces, activate my move tool, and move them back 10 inches right along that green. Whoops. Let's do that one more time. 10, enter. Okay. Now we've got the, I would say, meat and potatoes at least of the basics for the first two kind of heavier walls roughed in. Let's move on to the glazing walls, these two other elevations, which are definitely a little bit more involved.